Beyond the Veil, A Nazi's Return. Emma Sinclair was an average 16-year-old girl, navigating the trials of high school and the digital age. Her life revolved around social media, where likes and followers dictated her self-worth. It was on a particularly dull Saturday afternoon that Emma stumbled upon a post that would change her life forever. Scrolling through her Instagram feed, she saw a picture of Jessica Miller, the popular girl in her class, at a Ouija board party. The caption read, "So spooky, had an amazing time last night, #Ouija, #ghosts are real." The comments were filled with awe and curiosity. Emma's interest piqued, not out of a genuine fascination with the occult, but out of a desire to one-up Jessica and gain the social clout she so desperately craved. She quickly turned to YouTube, where countless tutorials on making your own Ouija board awaited her. The videos were brief, glossing over the rules and dangers in favour of DIY shortcuts. Emma barely paid attention to the warnings, her mind set on the thrill of going viral. Rummaging through her house, she found the perfect item for her makeshift board, the back cover of an old encyclopedia that used to belong to her great-grandfather. It was an ancient book about the Nazi uprising, its dark history lost on Emma. She ripped off the cover, dismissing it as old rubbish that was now most likely on the banned book list at school. With a Sharpie, she copied bits from various designs on Pinterest, creating her own Ouija board. For the planchette, she took a small oval picture frame off her mother's dresser, discarding the faded sepia picture of an old man in uniform. She placed the frame on the board, satisfied with her handiwork. Feeling a rush of excitement, Emma decided to dress the part as Madame Tully, the popular trending séance queen on YouTube. She dug through her closet and found an Aladdin-style turban, some bangles, a snow-white dress, a bright red silk scarf and a pair of monster claw slippers. Perfect for her livestream, she thought. Emma drew the bedroom curtains and lit a mixture of candles she had found in a cupboard in the laundry room. They included decorative, festive and aromatherapy candles, with a handful of birthday cake sparklers and coloured tea lights. The flickering light cast eerie shadows on the walls. She propped her phone on a tripod, ready to stream her séance live on Instagram. With a giddy smile, she hit the record button. "Hey guys, Emma here, and today I'm doing something super spooky. I made my own Ouija board, and we're going to see if we can talk to some ghosts. Hit that like button and follow for more awesome content," she chirped to her viewers. Emma sat cross-legged on her bed, placing her fingers lightly on the planchette. "Is anyone here?" she asked, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. After a few seconds receiving no response, she called out again. This time she attempted an Eastern European accented theatrical flourish in her voice. She thought it might get a few laughs and thumbs up.
"Is anyone here? Please don't be shy. Speak up now. I won't bite you."
She winked at the camera. The planchette moved slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, then more deliberately. Her heart raced. "Y-E-S," it spelled out. "Yes! Whoa!" she exclaimed. "Did you guys see that?" Her live stream lighting up with comments and likes. Encouraged, she pressed on. "What is your name?" The planchette moved again, this time with a sense of urgency. "HEINRICHMULLER." A comment popped up. "Who's that?" Emma frowned, curiosity mixed with a touch of fear. She quickly Googled the name on her MacBook, her breath catching in her throat as she read. Heinrich Müller was the head of the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, responsible for countless atrocities during World War II. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Guys, this is crazy. I think I just contacted a Nazi war criminal," she said into the camera, trying to maintain her composure. The likes and comments kept flooding in, egging her on. She took a deep breath and continued. "How did you die?" The candles flickered violently and the room seemed to grow colder. "I-M-N-O-T-D-E-A-D," the planchette spelled out. Emma slowly spoke the words out loud. "I am not dead." Emma shivered but pressed on, her curiosity piqued. "If you're not dead, what happened to you?" The planchette moved faster now. "SOULFORDARKNESS. Soul for darkness," Emma repeated. Emma's blood ran cold. She glanced at the cover she had torn from the encyclopedia, now serving as her Ouija board. It suddenly felt heavier with the weight of history and horror. "What do you mean?" she whispered. The planchette paused before spelling out ETERNALWAR. Eternal war, Emma repeated. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. War? What war? The planchette moved frantically. EVILDESTRUCTION. Evil destruction, Emma voiced, her words trailing off. She realised with a jolt that the makeshift board was not just a tool for fun, it was a doorway, and she had opened it without understanding the consequences. The room grew colder, the shadows darker. The candles flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness. Emma scrambled for her phone, the only source of light now. The comments were coming in fast, viewers captivated by the unfolding drama. "Guys, something's wrong," she whispered, her voice trembling. She reached for the planchette, intending to end the session, but it was yanked from her grasp. A cold, vacuous presence filled the room. She felt a hand grip her shoulder, icy and unyielding. "You opened the door, Emma," a voice hissed in her ear. "Now we are free." She screamed, the sound echoing through the darkness. Her phone slipped from her hand, the live stream capturing her terror as unseen forces dragged her towards the board. She fought desperately, but the grip tightened, pulling her into the cold abyss. Suddenly, a ghostly figure materialised before her. A tall, stern man in a Nazi uniform. His eyes were dark pits of malice. "You have done well," he sneered, his voice a chilling whisper. "Who are you?" Emma gasped, her voice barely audible. "I am Heinrich Müller," the figure replied. "I pledged my soul to the forces of darkness at the end of the war, vowing to continue our mission of chaos and destruction. And now, thanks to you, I am free to carry out that mission." Emma's eyes widened in horror. "What do you want?" Müller smiled a grotesque, twisted grin. "We want what we have always wanted, to subjugate the living, to spread chaos and evil. You have opened the portal, and now we will come for all of you." Emma's phone, still recording, captured the malevolent glee in his eyes. The old encyclopedia on the floor began to levitate, projecting a holographic display of Nazi atrocities, scenes of torture, death and despair. Emma watched in horror as images of children and adults being tortured flashed before her eyes. The air grew rancid with the stench of anarchy and death. "No," Emma whispered, tears streaming down her face. "This can't be happening." "But it is," Müller hissed. "And it is all thanks to you." With a final wrenching pull, Emma was dragged into the board, her screams echoing through the room. The phone fell to the floor, its camera capturing the final moments of her terror. Heinrich Müller leaned into the camera, his cold eyes staring directly into the lens. "Thank you, Emma," he said with a grin. "You have opened the bridge through the ether. Now, we will come for you all, everywhere. Oh, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, coming soon." His evil laughter echoing through the ether. The room erupted in a cacophony of sound. Whispers, screams, the clatter of unseen objects. The walls shook, the air vibrated with a malevolent energy. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it all stopped. The room fell silent, the oppressive presence lifting. Everything had disappeared into the board. For now. Emma's mother, Linda, returned home later that evening, calling out for her daughter. She found the house eerily silent. Climbing the stairs, she noticed a strange, cold draft emanating from Emma's room. She opened the door and gasped. The room was in disarray. Candles were knocked over, wax splattered across the floor and walls. The makeshift Ouija board lay in the centre of the bed, the planchette still resting on it. The closet doors were ajar, clothes strewn everywhere. The air was thick with an oppressive, toxic energy. "Emma!" she called out, panic rising in her chest. She picked up the phone lying on the floor, the screen shattered, but still showing the last moments of the live stream. "You opened the door, Emma. Now we are free." Linda watched in horror as the footage replayed. Emma's terrified screams filling the room, culminating in Heinrich Müller's chilling message. "And now, thanks to you, I am free to carry out that mission. We want what we have always wanted, to subjugate the living, to spread chaos and evil. She dropped the phone, tears streaming down her face. "Where are you, Emma?" The police were called and a search ensued, but there was no trace of Emma. Her room remained a chilling testament to the night's events, the lingering cold a constant reminder of the darkness that had consumed her. The old encyclopedia, once an innocent relic of history, now lay forgotten in the shadows. Its cover, marked with the hastily drawn symbols of a makeshift Ouija board, sat as a silent testament to the dangers of meddling with forces beyond understanding. Emma's bedroom remained empty, a cold reminder of the dark consequences of her actions. And somewhere, in the darkness, Heinrich Müller and others like him wandered free, their whispers haunting those who dared to listen. Emma had unwittingly set them free, and now the echoes of her mistake reverberated through the fabric of reality, a stark warning to those who would dare to follow in her footsteps. The war Müller had vowed to continue had found a new battleground, and it was far from over. Days turned into weeks, and the Sinclair house became a place of mourning and unanswered questions. Emma's disappearance was a media sensation, with speculation running wild. Some believed it was a teenage prank gone wrong, while others whispered of darker supernatural forces. The footage from Emma's live stream circulated online, debated and dissected by believers and skeptics alike, a chilling reminder of the thin line between our world and the darkness that seeks to consume it. The Whispering Shadows. On the last Friday of October, Sarah, Jake and Laura gathered at Laura's house for their annual Halloween movie night. This year, they decided to start the evening with something more daring, an impromptu séance using an old Ouija board Laura had found in her attic. The board was dusty, its letters and numbers faded, and the planchette was an ancient piece of wood that seemed to hum with a strange energy. Despite their initial hesitation, the thrill of the unknown pushed them to go ahead with their experiment. They turned off the lights, lit a few candles, and sat around the board, placing their fingers lightly on the planchette. "Is anyone there?" Laura asked, her voice wavering slightly. They waited, the silence pressing down on them. After a few moments, the planchette began to move, slowly spelling out YES. Sarah gasped, and Jake chuckled nervously. "Okay, who's messing with it?" he asked. "No one," Laura insisted. "Let's keep going. What is your name?" she asked the board. The planchette moved again, more swiftly this time. BETH. "How did you die?" Jake asked, feeling a bit more confident now. The planchette moved again, more slowly, and spelled out SLAIN. The temperature in the room seemed to drop, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. Sarah shivered, and Laura's face grew pale. "Slain? By whom?" Laura asked. The planchette began to move erratically, spelling out HIM. "Who is him?" Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper. The board went silent for a moment, then spelled out DEATH. The room felt colder still, and a sense of dread filled the air. Suddenly the planchette flew off the board, hitting the wall with a loud thud. The candles flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. The three friends sat in stunned silence, their breaths coming in short gasps. Jake fumbled for his phone and turned on the flashlight. "Okay, that's enough," he said, trying to sound brave. "Let's call it a night." But just as he was about to stand up, they heard a whisper. It was faint, almost imperceptible but unmistakable. "Leave," the voice hissed. Sarah clutched Jake's arm, her eyes wide with fear. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah," Jake replied, his voice shaking. "Let's get out of here." As they stood to leave, the door to the room slammed shut with a force that rattled the windows. The whisper grew louder, more insistent. "Leave now." Laura ran to the door and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as they pounded on the door, shouting for help, but the house remained eerily silent. Suddenly, Sarah screamed. She pointed to the corner of the room where a shadowy figure stood, its form barely distinguishable in the dim light. The figure began to move towards them, its presence filling the room with an overwhelming sense of evil. Jake grabbed a candlestick and swung it at the figure, but it passed through as if striking smoke. The figure whispered again, "Leave now," but the door remained shut. Desperate, Laura remembered the old saying that a Ouija board session must be properly closed. "Quick, we need to say goodbye," she said, rushing back to the board. The others followed and they hastily placed their fingers on the planchette. "Goodbye," they said in unison, moving the planchette to the word at the bottom of the board. The figure halted, and for a moment, everything was still. Then, with a rush of wind, the door flew open and the oppressive presence lifted. They didn't wait another second. The three friends bolted from the room, down the stairs and out of the house, not stopping until they were safely on the sidewalk outside. Breathing heavily, they looked back at the house. It seemed normal again, the eerie presence gone. "What the hell just happened?" Jake asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Laura replied, "but we're never doing that again." They agreed to keep the night's events a secret, but the memory haunted them. Laura got rid of the Ouija board, and they never spoke of it again. But on quiet nights, when the wind whispered through the trees, they couldn't help but wonder if Beth, or something far more sinister, still lingered in the shadows, waiting for another chance to speak.
Bloody Mary's Horror Stories. Watch, like, and subscribe.